City, Singapore. We are back this time with a series under our SHE.Network banner. The topic of today's webinar is Can You Be the Change? Before I introduce our shining and gorgeous speakers, let me share with you what I have learned about being the change in the last few years. Each one of us wants to change the world, but can we be the change? I remember reading about this ancient Mayan wisdom, which says that every human being must walk through 4 doors in this lifetime or in the next for the evolution of their soul. The first door is the door of fear. The second is the door of clarity. The third is the door of personal power. And the fourth door is the door of wisdom. The final door of wisdom is all about knowing yourself. The day you know who you are is the day you wake up and you start noticing the things happening in the world. Once you decide to get involved, you start to think of the course of action you believe will be best to get involved. It doesn't end there. You become the change only when you take action. We all must go through the 3 doors to reach the fourth door. Now, how do we know whether we have reached the fourth door of becoming the change? The day you stop asking questions like, what is my purpose? Where am I supposed to live? What am I supposed to do for work? Where are my children going to go for school, etc.? This is where we are still looking for clarity and we are trying to go through door 2. We haven't yet overcome our fears. The day we go beyond our problems and fears, we enter door 4 and become the change. Something to ponder over for all of us. Keeping in mind similar context of sustainable living, let us hear from our illustrious speakers on how much difference can one person make. We will explore the impact of our food, lifestyle choices on our health, our home planet, our values, and learn simple hacks to live a more plant-based and responsible lifestyle. But let's not forget our housekeeping rule. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the comments box. I will bring them up after all the speakers have finished. I'm so happy to introduce you to our first remarkable speaker, Ms. Rebecca Cappelli. Rebecca decided to quit a successful career to work in nonprofit. Now a public speaker and award-winning filmmaker, her work aims to empower people and help them become more conscious about their lifestyle choices and their impact. A French citizen and a Mandarin-speaking professional, Rebecca has lived in Asia for over 16 years, including Beijing, Shanghai, Hong Kong, and now Singapore. She works with various nonprofit organizations with the project Let Us Be Heroes to empower people to become a line of defense for their health, the planet, and the animals. Rebecca, it is an honor to have you here. Handing over the mic to you.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for everyone logging in today on Friday, I guess, for most people. What a lovely introduction. Thank you for your kind words, but I was really listening to the Mayan wisdom, and quite interestingly for me, it started through the fourth door, awakening to myself, and then going through the other doors. So I went through the door of fear, going through the fears. Maybe I'll talk about that later. And I am going through the personal power door currently. So it's really interesting. I guess these things can go in, various orders. I'll start with talking about change. I think change is quite a scary word because most often than not, we tend to focus on what we give up instead of what we will gain. So I guess human nature is not really comfortable, changing. And we talk a lot about baby steps. However, we do have to awaken to what is at stake. So what is change? For me, I want you to picture a butterfly, but before a butterfly, a caterpillar. So during the whole process of its life, from caterpillar to getting into chrysalis before becoming a butterfly, this is change. But change, the caterpillar is not becoming someone else. The caterpillar is becoming who he or she is. And for me, this is what change is about. Change is about becoming who you are. Because we are born in societies and we go to school and we have education from parents and from outside that influences. And sometimes it's hard, I guess, to find our own voice and truly find out who we are. We talk to a lot of people, who say, well, I don't know what is my purpose. I don't know what is my mission, what is my passion. And I think change is really about reconnecting with who you are and embracing completely who you are. So this is not something to fear. Some of us will approach that slowly. Some of us will approach that dramatically overnight. But I think change can be really, really beautiful because nothing magic happens inside the comfort zone, within what we know. All the magic happens outside. And only when we go through this transformation can we really go. So that's on an individual level. But this is also true on a society level, on a collective level. I think today there are a number of things that are quite worrying, I would say, for us as a collective, as humans on the planet, beyond the day-to-day, challenges when it comes to, our current situation with COVID-19 and jobs, financial situations. We are going through a lot of changes actually right now. But beyond that, I think when we look at the bigger picture, we are facing a big climate crisis and catastrophic consequences of our inaction over the last few decades. Our inaction in some areas, but also our very intense consuming lifestyles, right? So I think we are really at the stage where we need to really take a hard look at how we are living and really think beyond the current framework. So I don't think the solution is within everything we've been doing until now. We need to do things a bit differently. So I think one thing that I want to share is when it comes to truth, so humans have a hard time accepting change, but humans have also a hard time accepting truth as it is, as it comes. So first, our first reaction to some new, information that is true is maybe to mock it or ridicule it, and then it's to fight it, quite intensely, sometimes with violence, before accepting it as an evidence. So I give you an example. 50 years ago, no one believed that smoking cigarette caused cancer. If you ask people in the street, they thought it's okay, moderation, it's fine. Doctors and celebrities endorse smoking tobacco and cigarettes. So it's not an issue. It took decades and thousands of studies before smoking cigarette was classified as causing cancer according to the World Health Organization. And even now, cigarettes are widely available everywhere. So today we are, I think one of the biggest truths that is really a block in our evolution as a collective is who we are as a species. And what I'm going to say, maybe some of you have heard it before, maybe some of you is the first time. I think it is the idea that will be evident in the future that is not today, but humans are not omnivores. We are not an omnivorous species. And let me explain you why. First of all, when you look at our anatomy, the way that we are built, we are not lions, we are not boars, we are not bears. We don't have claws to tear the flesh. We have a digestion that starts in the mouth. We have very long intestine tract, and we have an alkaline pH in the body. None of the carnivores or omnivores have this feature. We have fingers to pick fruit. Again, if you go to your neighborhood park and you see a squirrel, your instinct is not to chase it, go after it and tear it apart, with your canine and your claws. And your instinct is not to dig your teeth into the flesh raw and eat, everything with the hair, the nose, etc. Just the thought of it is something that makes us a bit uncomfortable. And I think, so what are we? Of course, we're not herbivores either. We're not meant to just chew on grass all day. We are frugivores. Humans are a frugivore species, meaning that the bulk of our diet should be coming from fruits with some plants as well, with some nuts and seeds. And so as long as we are in denial with this, what is happening? We are behaving like omnivores. Actually, we are behaving like a weird type of omnivore who is actually eating dead bodies, because we are not hunting. I mean, most of us are not. And when we hunt, we don't like just consume it on the spot, right? So despite having this omnivore behavior, this is who we are. And this is, I think, the biggest denial. And a lot of our issues today are coming from this big denial. So we are losing today 30 million people to preventable chronic disease. I'm talking about heart disease, diabetes, cancers, kidney disorders. And sadly, most of us know someone who is struggling with chronic disease or have lost someone they love to chronic disease. I have lost several people in my life to, again, preventable lifestyle-related disease. When I say preventable, is because genes only determine a small percentage of, the potentiality of us, getting cancer or heart disease, etc. Most of it comes from our lifestyle, and diet, of course, is extremely important. So we are losing all these people. I know that we are really preoccupied with COVID-19, and I understand this is a worrying situation, but when we talk about losing 30 million people a year to heart disease, strokes, cancer, diabetes, etc., we are talking about, more than the population of Australia. We are talking about an enormous amount of people. And so clearly we're not doing the right thing there. Now, the food choices that are making us sick are also the same choices that are also impacting the planet. When we look at raising animals for food, so eating animals, is a leading cause of deforestation. So 80% of the Amazon forest is gone because of cattle ranching for meat and for leather. We're looking at a leading cause of water pollution and ocean degradation. We are, the UNFAO has stated that 90% of the world's fisheries, the world's fish population, are in crisis or extinct. And so at this stage, we're still walking around with some false sustainability idea that, we can have sustainable fishing. And I think this is this is a dangerous idea, because some people do not have any choice than to rely on the ocean for survival. But for most of us who have a choice, we can eat something else. We should just leave relief and stop, pillaging and killing sea life at the rates that we are, which is by the trillions of individuals every year. We are killing today 2 billion of land animals every single week. That's the land animals, okay? Every single week. And this is all for food that are making us sick and that are depleting the planet of, fresh water, causing immense deforestation, land degradation, etc. So instead of trying to, find new ways to do the old things, I think we have to embrace something completely new, which is, let's accept our nature. We are not meant to eat, the planet is not made for 7.5 billion of flesh-eating primates. That's it. And even though we can feel that, no, we're not affected because I'm here in Singapore and I don't see the impact of my, of my choices right away. I think we need to reconnect and have a more collective consciousness and think, well, maybe I'm going to try my best to find, to take a choice that is going to have, if not a positive impact, at least not a drastically negative impact on humans, on the planet, and on the animals. One way to do that, and I will wrap up there, is that we need to connect with our values and who we are. So we need to go through this door that you were talking about who am I, what is my mission, etc. And whatever your mission is, we all have unique skills, unique voice, something, a mission to take in the world, whatever that is. we need to carry on this mission with creating the least amount of suffering onto others. And we need to look at what we are doing to animals. Because right now, every second of every single day, animals are screaming in terror in slaughterhouses all over the world. It doesn't matter if they were free range and organic or, coming from factory farming. We are causing immense amount of suffering, and we cannot hope for peace, and we talk about kindness if we are not able to give it to the ones who are the most vulnerable to us. So I do hope that more of us reflect on this and check in with ourselves, check in with our heart, our true emotion, our true empathy. After millions of years of evolution, nature has selected empathy as a human trait, and that means it's there for a reason. We need to reconnect with empathy, and then we can embrace change. Then we will know why it is important to us, and then you can see your life transform beautifully.
That's phenomenal, Rebecca. I agree with you. Major shifts happen only with collective consciousness, and empathy is an important part which can bring about change. And I really liked your talk highlighted what is change and why are we scared of change, why we need to change our behaviors, the impact of food choices on health, impact of food choices on the animals, our values, and maybe in the question and answer session, you could give us some more practical tips and the challenges we are facing. Now it gives me immense pleasure to introduce our next honorable speaker, Miss Daisy Kirk. Daisy is the daughter of Jeremy and Bettina Kirk, the founders of Scoop Wholefoods. The business was founded in 2013 after their family moved to Australia from Malta. They have always been passionate about protecting the environment, and they are all very involved in the business. She has two sisters, and their husbands work for the business too. After opening their first store in Mosman, Sydney, the business went from strength to strength as they realized how much people were seeking quality whole foods with zero packaging. There are now 6 Scoop Whole Food stores in Australia, 3 in Singapore, and 2 in the UK. After partnering with Gill Capital, the first Singapore store opened on the 8th of May 2018 and has been a huge success. Daisy, let me take this opportunity to thank you for taking out time from your extremely busy schedule to come and share your thoughts on this subject. The stage is all yours now.
Thank you very much, Sangeet. Thank you for that lovely introduction. And thank you, Rebecca, for that lovely speech. I think that was really inspiring. I just want to say as well, I hope everyone out there is well and safe, and thank you for joining us. I really agree with you about, Rebecca, when you're talking about change and how people fear it, and human beings have always feared change. But I love how excited I got when you spoke about embracing change and being excited about change, because yes, change is difficult, but becoming who you were meant to be and becoming somebody new, we all need to do that as we move forward, because like you say, we're facing so many challenges these days. And I think we all need to, make a change and be excited about it, because it needs to happen, basically. So I'll give you, we've had a little introduction about who I am. And yes, we have a family business. It's a lot of fun. We all work together, and we are all very passionate about 2 main things, one being our health and the other being our planet. And both of those things equally together. So our business is focused on whole foods, bulk, packaging free, as minimal waste as you could possibly get. We sell bulk foods, which you can scoop as much as you like, bring in your own containers. Any packaged goods that we sell in our store are sold in sustainable packaging, either biodegradable or in glass. And we started this. I mean, my parents had this idea for a long time, and we would discuss it all the time as we were all together. We all came from different backgrounds. So my little sister was studying law. She was into environmental law. Another one of my sisters was in the fashion industry, and she became rather shocked with the amount of chemicals that are going into our waterways, synthetic fabrics that are being used, fast fashion. My husband and I worked for Greenpeace for many years, and so we had a big passion for the environment. For particularly our focus was on the oceans. My husband has sailed all over the world, and I grew up on a small island, and the ocean is a huge part of our lives. And so when we were discussing the business, and mom and dad had this idea, and we were all, putting forward, how we should make it work. And it's changed a lot since the initial concept. We all had different reasons for being passionate about our health and our planet. And it's interesting how we started it not knowing. I mean, we knew we were passionate about it. We thought, okay, there must be other people in the world that care about sustainability and the amount of plastic waste going into our environment. But we didn't realize what an impact it was actually going to have. And I think it's because we attract quite a wide range of customers, whether it's people who are interested in health, who are eating plant-based and looking for organic and chemical-free, or whether it's because they're looking for a plastic-free option, or just quality, because we know where our food is coming from. We're shortening that gap between the farmers and the consumers. So it's been a really exciting journey to go on, and we can't believe where we are now and how much it's growing. We have faced challenges, obviously, like everybody has, due to COVID. But what's actually really fascinating about what's happened with COVID is it's made people realize what's most important in their lives. And the most important thing is your health, the health of your family, the health of your friends, and ultimately the world that we live in. And we have been extremely lucky in the sense that our store offers a solution to all of that. So you can come in and do your waste-free shopping and get healthy, quality products. So it's been really interesting, because we weren't sure how people were going to react to our concept being a bulk store when, in the height of the pandemic. But it was a really positive one, which I think we were all really surprised and lucky that was the case. So the question is, I guess, why plastic free? Why should we reduce our plastic? Why is that important? It's important because plastic is made from toxic petrochemicals. Plastic is not a natural material. It is a man-made compound. It does not degrade. It will degrade into very, very, very small particles, but it will never be gone from our planet. Every single piece of plastic that has ever been made still exists on our Earth. And where does it go? It pollutes our planet. Not only does it pollute oceans and waterways in a physical way that you can see the amount of waste. Like I'm sure you've seen images out there online, for example, beaches just thick with plastic waste, or in our oceans. But it also pollutes down to the very microscopic level, and that's equally as dangerous, but you can't see it. So it's polluting our food. It's polluting everything from a tiny, tiny level, and it directly impacts every single level of the food chain. So every single animal in that food chain is being affected directly, from plankton that's eating these tiny plastic particles, and the fish that eat them, that eat them, that eat them. There's plastic all the way through that chain, to directly affecting predators such as seabirds who mistake plastic for food, and their guts just become full of plastic and they're dying at alarming rates. Or animals like turtles, whales, dolphins, thinking that plastic bags are jellyfish or squid. And we've seen multiple cases, especially recently in recent years, of whales and dolphins washing up on shores, and inside their stomachs, it's just full and hundreds of plastic objects, mostly bags. Not only this, it also leaches chemicals into our food. So in water bottles, or if you're storing food in plastic that is either heated or frozen, chemicals from the plastic will be leaching into your food as well, which is not good for our health. So it's not good for our health because it's in our waterways going into our food and farming, and then it can also leach in from food packaging. So our business is doing our part basically in the food industry. That's our sector. That's what we've taken on. And we've just stuck to our guns and said, you know what, we're going to have a business where we have no plastic, we have sustainable packaging. And it's been a challenge because every step of the way, there's been challenges where we're like, oh, we'd really love to stock this health product, but we can't because it comes in plastic. Or, oh, we'd love to branch out and tackle this area of food, but everything is in plastic. We just can't do it. And so we often get requests from customers saying, can't you get this or can't you get that? And we always have to say, until we can find it without plastic, and we fight and fight as hard as we can to find these products and get the producers to supply it without all the packaging, then finally we can supply it. And obviously, like I said, we're bridging that gap as well between the farmer and the consumer. So we're giving the customer more knowledge and transparency where their food is coming from, how it's grown. And we're very particular about the products that we stock, making sure we have good communication with those farmers and making sure that the quality is really good. And we love to support organic farmers because organic farming benefits your local ecosystem, and it also benefits your local community because of the impacts of not using chemicals on your farming. Our business also helps reduce local waste. The amount of waste that's going into landfill in each community where our stores are, is fantastic because we're reducing it dramatically. And I think one of the things that is really great about what we do is you can use your money every day to make an impact. Your buying power changes the world. The more we buy organic, healthy, whole foods, grains, nuts, seeds, then we're supporting that industry. And if we don't want to support something as well and we don't buy that, then that just becomes less important, and more and more business will work towards more sustainable, and it's basically the customer decides, right? So we put our money where we want to see the future go, and that's where it's going to go. So I also tell people as well, just because we have a bulk food store and you can do all your shopping in bulk doesn't mean you can't do it everywhere else as well. For example, at your local bakery or your local fresh fruit and veg markets, etc. Take your own containers. Ask these producers if they can give it to you in your container. And because of the awareness that's growing these days, so many shops are willing to do that because they understand the importance of it. And you can basically take it as far as you want to go, and you don't just have to shop at Scoop in order to have plastic-free healthy foods. And that extends obviously to other places in your life, such as clothes shopping, avoiding synthetics. And before buying anything that's in plastic, I always ask myself, is there another way? And how would my grandmother have done this? And if I can do it like that, then great, I'll try and do it like that first. And then if I can't, you can't get everything plastic free. There are some areas where, it is really hard, but at least trying to ask that question really helps. So I thought I'd go into a few tips on how you can make some changes. So as Rebecca said, small changes are great. It would be great if we could make huge changes straight away, but starting small makes sense so you can get your head around it and move as fast as you can at your own pace to make sure that you're comfortable. So for example, pick something that you use every day that's a single-use plastic, for example, a shopping bag. We all know that shopping bags are really horrible for the environment. And that's an easy thing that you can do, to get your own shopping bags and start to use them and start to figure out ways to make it convenient. Take them with you to the office. Get one that stuffs into a tiny little bag that can go into your handbag, and try to keep it on you. And once you start shopping with your reusable shopping bags and you're like, yes, I've got this down, I haven't used a plastic bag in a while, I feel confident, I'm going to try the next thing, I'm going to take on a new challenge. Get yourself a coffee cup and a water bottle, keep them in your bag, use them on the go. Then you can start adding other things into your life, such as a wooden cutlery set that you can use for when you're having takeaway food, or a metal straw or a glass straw, anything like that. And just slowly add something else and start to educate yourself on what can the next step be. But don't take that next step until you feel like you're comfortable with where you're at. The second thing is be tactical and organized. So especially when coming into Scoop, our generation has this amazing opportunity where we can actually shop for exactly what we want. We can spend less and waste less by shopping for exactly what we need. And we have gained this opportunity once again, which our grandparents had, but our parents have been in a generation where everything is prepackaged. You're buying more than you need, you're wasting more, but we're slowly being given back that opportunity when you're buying in bulk. So take advantage of that. Be organized. If you know the recipes you're going to make for the week, you can buy exactly what you need for that week. And making those shopping lists helps you be organized with all that. Another thing that I find really important is knowing your food and knowing your cleaning products and products that you're putting on your body. Check the ingredients list. Avoid harsh chemicals, fragrances, heavily processed foods. Look for additives, chemicals. Anything I don't understand on a label, I won't buy. Now that I've been working for Scoop for a while, a lot of things that maybe some other people might not understand, I understand what that is and where it comes from. So slowly, I've been able to buy more and more things because I know what it is. But if you don't understand it, don't buy it. And at Scoop, for example, all the cleaning products, beauty products, they're all tested on my family. Everything is natural, preservative-free, palm oil-free, vegan, all the good stuff. And that's what you want in your home. You don't want harsh chemicals around your kids, your pets, your family. There's natural products you can use instead. And also, don't be afraid to try new things. Just because it's different doesn't mean it's not going to work or it's not going to be great. I always tell people that because we love rice, we eat a lot of rice. Why not try, for example, when you come to Scoop Wholefoods or your local bulk food store, instead of buying white rice, try brown, try black, try red, or mix it up. Get quinoa instead. There's all sorts of beautiful, healthy whole foods out there, and there's lots to try. I don't know, am I going over time, or shall I keep going with a few simple hacks, or shall I save them for later?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of questions, so I think we can bring them up later.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll finish there then, and I've got some little hacks that I can let you know a bit later.
Yes, please. So, Daisy, that was quite inspiring, and we got some great tactical tips on how to be more organic. Tips like start small. I'm going to start doing that. And be tactical and organized by making shopping lists. And of course, go local and many more. I'm sure the audience must have noted them down. And we'll bring up some more tips during the Q&A session. And now I'm back with my lovely audience. It is time for our Q&A. We have, how many minutes left? My maths is pretty poor. Okay, we have 40 minutes left. No, we have 20 minutes left. Sorry, bad maths. Okay, so I'm going to bring up this question for Rebecca. This is from Anupriya. It's a very interesting question, so we're going to bring it up first. Now, okay, this is the question. Rebecca, this is for you. Now so aware of the environmental impact, but how to emotionally stay strong that change is happening. Of course, we are not going back, but the hopeful to hopeless feeling shifts. Fine.
Yeah, so I mean, that can be hard when you are really connected to your own feelings and to, when you reconnect with this empathy that is natural to, human nature. I think, looking after yourself is really important. So not spending too much time down the rabbit hole on all the negatives. It is important to go in there and to face uncomfortable truths. That's for sure. Everybody needs to, have this uncomfortable, watch and discussions as well. So, but not stay there. For me, the hope, I think it depends where you place your hope. For me, over the past year, so I'm a filmmaker and I'm working on a feature film on the fashion industry. And over the past year, there's things that I've seen. I do not have hope personally in a mass awakening, unless we are forced to. So, if you really go and you really grasp the reality of the world, which is everybody just wants to consume more and more and more and more. Yes, some of us are taking steps. But even when we are taking steps, we are talking about small steps. I think that our steps should be bigger. And I think we should consider what we consider today big steps are as little steps. So, for example, and I'll insert some of my tips here, but ditching dairy, that's it. Stop consuming dairy. It is awful for the body. It is awful for the animals. It's about forcing females taking their babies away. I mean, this is really an absurd industry that should belong to the past and should belong to history. So that's one thing. Going plant-based for 1 month and see how you feel. Like today, you have a lot of free resources online, a lot of videos, a lot of recipes, a lot of people, exactly with, your lifestyle, how to eat, cheap, on a plant-based on a budget, or plant-based when you travel, plant-based at work, how to navigate all these things. So there are resources, plenty of resources for free online. It's about educating yourself. And I think being of service to others. Once you start focusing more on others and what you can give back, what you can do, then I think you don't need hope. I mean, this is where my hope is. You know what I mean? So for me, I don't have hope in the mass awakening, but I do have hope in some individuals. And for me, this is my path. I have decided that I'm going to try and save most lives possible in this lifetime. I'm going to try and improve the life of, people who, come into my life. And that's it. That's the path. And you don't have to carry the whole weight of the world on your shoulders, because it's going to weigh you down. And if it weighs you down, if you are burnt out, then you can do no good, not even to yourself. So I think just embracing this mission, this path, embracing who you are. It's not for everybody. Not everybody is meant to go out there and do social work. Not everybody is meant to go out there and go and film into slaughterhouses, for example. But doing your part and being comfortable where you are in a way that you're doing good, you're helping others, you're feeling good. You should feel happy and light. Find the happiness, in that, because there's no point in living this life worrying even more and being even more sad. Things are what they are. We have to accept.
Rebecca, I like it when you say do your part and remain cheerful. I think that's where we should focus on. And we have a question from Mimi Nguyen from Singapore, from the Matcha Initiative. That's the name of the organization. How do you make people change their habits lastingly? That's for Daisy. This question is for Daisy.
So I think we've spoken a lot about big changes, small changes. I think this comes down to taking on as much as you can digest and then moving forward. Because if you suddenly go from, for example, being a meat eater and going, okay, I'm going to be vegan tomorrow, it can be really hard. You might do it for a few days and then slip. Or
excuse me, so I just want to add to that.
Yeah.
I think no matter what it is, if your why is strong enough, you can do it. A lot of people do it. if you understand why, if your reason to do something is strong, yes. If you do it as a diet or as, oh, I am forcing myself to change and it's heavy, yes, of course, I agree with you.
I do agree. And we speak to a lot of customers on a daily basis, and we sort of say to them, okay, well, look, give up meat, come back to us and we will give you all the tips on how to give up your dairy products. We've got all the stuff in store to support you there, or do it the other way around and just do those few days and then we'll take the next step. Because sometimes it can, especially when you're cooking, like I love to cook. If you're getting fast food on the go, it can often mean that you're not eating well. And so that can weigh you down. If you're not nourishing your body and you're just sustaining yourself on bread because you just don't know what to eat and you just can't figure it out and you're in a rush and you just go, I'll just have a piece of bread and keep going. If you start that little bit slower, it means you can start figuring out how to cook for yourself, how to be organized, what to put in those meals to make sure you're having balanced meals with protein and carbs and fiber and all your good gut health, probiotics, etc., and you're feeling well, because the last thing you want to do is take on too much at once and then feel run down and not feel well. So I have a really good tip actually for how to get off dairy, because I've been off dairy now for a really long time, and it took me a while to figure out my little hacks, because I don't like to buy products with additives and preservatives and things like that in them. I'm really fussy. So what I figured out was nut milk is great, and a really easy way to make nut milk is to use nut butter. So I have a variety of nut butters. I make anything from almond, peanut, cashew, hazelnut butter, and you just whiz 1 tablespoon of nut butter with 1 cup of water in your little NutriBullet for a few seconds, and you've got beautiful fresh milk. You can make a liter if you like, and that'll last you a few days, but it's instant, healthy, and delicious. And another thing is using activated cashews. I instantly blend those into a thick cream. You can add a bit of vanilla or maple syrup if you want it to be sweet, to pour on an apple pie or whatever you're having, or if you want it savory, a bit of nutritional yeast and some garlic powder and maybe a squeeze of lemon. And you can add that to all your different pasta dishes or anything that you want to be creamy. And it's instant and easy. So you don't have to, because it might be overwhelming going, okay, I'm going to go and buy my vegan butter, my vegan cheese, and my vegan cream and all these new things. Having just some cashews and some nut butter in the cupboard at all times that don't go out of date is really easy to help you transition. But yeah, take those steps one by one and let your body get used to it, and make sure that you're feeling good and healthy and strong, and then take that next step. But I totally agree with you that when you've got the right mindset and the right belief system behind you, it drives you to keep wanting to get to that next step and continue your journey and sustain it and maintain it. I hope that helps.
I love that tip. Very nice. Okay, we have a question from Dolly Tanna. As a layman, what measures can we take to educate ourselves that there is a very dark underbelly to where it comes from? Example, buy fair trade where possible, go organic, grow, go local, etc. So Daisy, you can take this question, and probably Rebecca can pitch in with more, suggestions.
So what measures can we take to educate ourselves? Well, I honestly, if you are passionate about this topic, there's many platforms online. I mean, once you start digging into you can just get lost into a black hole of information. There is so much information out there. And if you are passionate about this, I urge you to continue to educate yourself, because there is a very dark side to where our food comes from. And it is important to know that, because again, that helps you drive the change. But like I was saying, with organic, it's not just about, organic is healthy for my body. It's healthy for the communities where it's grown, where you're not spraying heavy pesticides onto your plants, where farmers are not having to deal with all those chemicals, and communities. Fair trade, fair trade is a complicated another wormhole to go down. So making sure that you're sourcing ethical produce. Ask the suppliers. Like if you come in store to us, for example, we're so passionate, we'll give you an answer as to where it comes from and who's growing it and how it's sourced. If we can't, we will find out and we'll let you know, because it's me and my family who are sourcing all these beautiful products and asking all these hard questions for you. And we're always there to support and help. But I don't know, maybe Rebecca, you can add to this, but there are platforms online, Instagram, Facebook. Follow people who are doing the right thing. See who they're looking at, what they're listening to, and keep trying to take the next step.
Yes, I think education is absolutely key. So we have to educate ourselves. The government is not going to do that. The school is not going to do that. So we need to learn ourselves about nutrition. We need to learn ourselves about where food comes from. So it's about empowering ourselves with knowledge, number one. And then the other thing that I want to add is to not be paralyzed by perfection, because perfect gets in the way of good. We need to do our best at any given time. And yeah, of course, you don't need avocados or you don't need this or that. But, believe me, like when you think you've heard it all or seen it all, you find some new stuff. So there's always going to be something, but, just start your journey and then follow your journey and do the best you can right where you are.
Interesting. Okay, we have a question from George. He says, I'd be interested to hear what Rebecca does to help people develop their empathy. Thanks.
So for me, what I have chosen to do is to do public speaking for free. So, just you have an event online. These days it's going to be online most likely. But I used to go pre-COVID, to people in their workplace, in their schools, etc. So I do give free talks for education, just to open the mind and give a few resources and some tips, some very practical tips, so that people can then get started on their journey. I have turned to filmmaking. So my first short film is on YouTube. It is called Let Us Be Heroes. So it is available for free. And this is something where you're just home, you grab your cup of tea and you want to listen to something on your laptop or even on your phone, when you're in transit. So it's not just me talking, but also other people who are really inspiring, from athletes to environmentalists, and it's been received really, really well. So I tend to film for scale, and that's what I decide to do. And I think one thing that is really important is to share the truth without compromising anything. I think I see too much compromise in the message today. Because people want to be liked, because people don't want to turn people off. And so we are not speaking the truth. We're not really sharing the urgency of what is really going on. So I think really being uncompromising about that, but also accepting our feelings around how, when we discover all these things, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to cry. I cry a lot. This is my work. I cry. And that's it, it's about embracing ourselves fully and, moving forward. So empathy is extremely, extremely important. We cannot afford blissful ignorance anymore.
Rebecca, I really love your passion and you're doing a great job. So we have a question now from Nusratji from Bangladesh. The question is, infants need milk. At what age should infants stop drinking cow's milk? Who would like to take this question, Rebecca or Daisy?
Yes, that's a great question, and I often have that. So infants need their mother's milk. So they need breast milk from their mother. So I understand that not every woman is in a fortunate position to be able to breastfeed their child until, the weaning age, which is, sometimes around 1, sometimes later, if, depending on the bond that you have and the lifestyle that you have. So number one is human infant need human breast milk. So the best thing after your own breast milk would be another woman, but of course it's very difficult to to have access to that in a clean way, etc. It is happening in some small communities around the world, and some women do provide more for other women who cannot breastfeed their kids. But basically, beyond the age of about 1 year old, 1.5 year old, if your child is developing well, it doesn't need any growth hormones and no milk, not from the mothers, and certainly not from a cow. A cow has a calf. The calf is going to gain 1 kilo a day for a whole year to become a 300 kilo animal. And a human baby after the first year, they're around 10 kilos. We're just talking about something that is completely, irrelevant almost. And we're not looking at dog's milk. We're not looking at rhino's milk, of monkey milk. We should leave really cow's milk a thing of the past. Now, if you are in a situation of survival, and that's the only thing you can rely on, this is the situation. But for anyone who has a choice, then cow's milk is a myth. I do invite you to educate yourself on the dairy industry, on dairy as it is, even if it comes from a beautiful cow that is, in the most, pristine environment. Her milk is full of growth hormones. So beyond the age of infancy, nobody needs any cow's milk, no cow's cheese, all this stuff. It really messes up with our metabolism, with our body, with our everything. So just empower yourself with knowledge, do the best you can, and that's it. We don't need milk after, let's say, maximum the age of 2, but even before that.
Daisy, any input from your side?
Look, I totally agree. I have a baby at the moment. He's 9 months. I've been fortunate enough that I can breastfeed, and I will, like Rebecca said, up till 1 year, potentially 2 years. I don't give him cow's milk in his food. I've never even considered giving him cow's milk, because we eat nut milk, and so that's what he eats, other than my breast milk. And I totally agree. And I'm really actually, as much as haven't had dairy and I've watched all these documentaries, I never even thought about what you just mentioned, how much weight a human baby gains in comparison to how much weight a cow gains in their first year. And that's really interesting what you say about growth hormones. And I would just have to say I totally agree. If humans are meant to get off or naturally stop drinking breast milk at 1 or 2 years old, I don't see why they should be drinking any other animal milk.
Agree with you. We have a question from Renee Singh from India. How can we be responsible leaders? This is the question for Rebecca. And for the convenience of the audience, we'll be putting the link to Rebecca's Let Us Be Heroes on our page for you to get more information on it. But Rebecca, this is the question for you. How can we be responsible leaders?
Well, the first thing I think is to recognize that each and one of us is a leader. We are a leader of the world we want to live in. We need to be a lot less passive. We need to outsource everything less to others. So we cannot just place, all of our health and our health issues into the hands of physicians and doctors. We do have to educate ourselves. We have to realize, okay, what can I do with the best of my own capacity? And how does that match my passion? What do I feel passionate about? Some of us, it will be writing letters. Some of us, it will be doing community work. Some of us, it will be, going and helping the elderly. Some of us, it will be working with children. Some of us will be working with women and trauma and all of that. And I think it's just recognizing what are your gifts and what can you do within your circumstances right now, and start there. Yes, you may have a full-time job, but you possibly have something that calls you. And if it is to be service of others is one thing, but maybe it's just to, be the best mother you can be the best friend you can be the best, person you can be. That is being a leader. So starting with yourself, understanding that if we want to see a different world, if we want to really live in that world that we talk about, a world that is more just, that is more green, that we don't have to worry about, all these disease popping up left and right, then we have to be honest and take these steps ourselves. First of all, we cannot just rely on others to do it. We cannot rely on governments to make the changes. We have to start today. Nothing is preventing you to have a plant-based dinner tonight or a plant-based breakfast tomorrow. Nothing is preventing you to do these things. So just taking action, taking these steps, and following your heart, really listening to your heart, not to the wound and to fear, but to really your heart.
We are running out of time. Daisy, can you give quick tips, 2 tips probably, which we can incorporate? And after that, maybe a quick answer by one of you to this question: why would a vegan want to eat mock meats? I have always wondered why vegans who are so against the cruel treatment of animals would want to eat food that resembles as closely as possible to an animal. So probably, Daisy, 2 quick tips from your side, and then one of you can answer the mock meat question.
Yeah, sure. So my tips are all kind of both sustainable and healthy. So I mentioned my one about nut milks and nuts and cashews. Obviously, you're reducing a lot of plastic waste and packaging when you whiz up your own nut milk that's fresh. I also did mention leaving your shopping bags in your car or at the office, or keeping them in your bag and on you. A really good thing is having a healthy breakfast is really important. And smoothies are a really easy way to have fruits, veggies, fiber, all the good stuff. It's plant-based, it's easy, and it's quick. And a friend of mine told me recently that what she does is she preps her smoothie the night before, as in she doesn't whiz it, but pop everything in there except ice, or except maybe your frozen banana, so it's ready to go. So in the morning, all you have to do is add ice and whiz. There is no excuse for you to not have a healthy breakfast. And once you've had a healthy breakfast and you've started the day right, it's easier for everything else to fall into place. Another one which tackles food waste, which I find is fantastic in our household, is veggie scraps. So when you cutting up your veggies and you've got the ends of the carrots or zucchinis or leeks or anything that you're using, don't throw that away. Yes, you can compost it if you like, that's great, but you can use it and you can eat it by making a weekly veggie stock. So you can either just set that aside, or you can chuck it straight into your slow cooker and chuck it on. Or what we do is we pop it in a container in the freezer, and then when we're ready to make a veggie stock, we just chuck it all in with some water and whatever, some herbs and spices, and on it goes. So don't waste those food scraps, because again, that's an area where we're wasting a lot of food that we could be using for nourishment. So
brilliant. Thanks, Daisy. Who would like to answer the mock meat question? Yes, please.
Yeah, I can go ahead. So I mean, real quick, veganism is about causing the least amount of suffering possible. Right? So we're not against states, we're against the suffering. So if there is mock meat or a product that is made without the slaughter, that is better for the environment, then we're all for it. It is about causing less suffering to the animals and not killing animals for food. Now, so this is where you want to be making the difference and research the difference between a plant-based diet, ideally a whole food plant-based diet, and veganism, and that's it. So these are 2 different things. So yeah, love the smoothie hack. Very, very important. Great stuff. Do we have a few minutes, or are we there? Yeah. Okay. So I guess if anyone has more questions, you can always direct message me. I'm mostly active on Instagram or at Let Us Be Heroes. So just send me your questions and I'll be happy to answer.
Wonderful. It's been an honor to be among such accomplished individuals and to be able to present my perspective too before you all. Friends, I hope you see the value of the change each one of us can make for a better self and for a better world. I would also like to thank the FuturoKnowledge team who makes these webinars possible. Mr. Suraj Mantri is the backbone and the co-founder of FuturoKnowledge. Miss Anupriya Iyer, one of our most conscientious team members who tirelessly works as our relationship manager. She's a vegan too. And Harbit Singh Growar, our brilliant IT lead. Thank you all for such overwhelming participation. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on our Facebook and Instagram to stay connected for many such remarkable speakers. And please do share your preferred topics in the comment section, which you would like to be covered in our upcoming webinars. God bless. Rab Rakha.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.